In recent years, authenticity has become a very common term in the personal development world. And although a lot of people talk about it in different ways and with their own perspectives, there are 4 hard truths that no one shares about authenticity. In this video, I'm going to reveal what these 4 truths are, and I'm also going to share some helpful tips along the way that will support you on your journey while coping with these difficult truths. Welcome to the BU channel, where we do a deep dive into personal development and look at it through the lens of authenticity. I am Safia, author of the book BU, Your Life Depends on It, the original volume, and the Transformation Journal. Now let's talk about 4 hard truths that no one tells you about authenticity. The first hard truth no one tells you about authenticity is that rewards are intangible. When you progress along your journey, you will be rewarded with qualities that cannot be seen, such as peace of mind, confidence, and self-esteem. You won't necessarily see a correlation between your personal development and visible rewards like money, friends, or promotions. That's because in order to acquire those things, you're required to use your skills and knowledge externally. But your knowledge base and skill base to acquire those things does not necessarily have any bearing on your internal progress. Case in point, your ability to better navigate your own emotions is not going to necessarily lead you to more money. But on the flip side of things, you can use your own inner standing to leverage the acquisition of those external rewards. Here's an example. If you're working on your emotional intelligence, that means you're better at navigating relationships with other people, so that could lead you to getting more friends. But also that could lead you to getting more opportunities, and that might lead you to getting more money. So that's just one small example, but the rewards of becoming authentic are overwhelmingly intangible. Now, my top tip for handling this hard truth is to change how you measure your progress. What do I mean by this? Well, in the work world, and as we've gone through the school system, we've become accustomed to looking externally for indications that we've made progress. We have certificates, we have qualifications, we have, employee reviews, for example. But when it comes to personal development, your progress is going to be very gradual, and most people outside of you are not going to notice it until you've made a massive amount of progress. So instead of waiting for other people to notice, it's better that you take the responsibility and self-reflect and look for indications within yourself that you've made progress. The second hard truth no one tells you about authenticity is that it can be exhausting. Much of this journey requires that you closely monitor every thought, every word, every action, as well as your patterns and habits, so that you're not holding yourself back. It's a bit like having to parent yourself. It is 24/7 and you don't get any breaks, so it can feel like a thankless job, but it is absolutely crucial to your long-term progress. Now, it's easier said than done because you're not going to get a standing ovation every time you get 1% better, but your ultimate aim is to get better. Now, I have a few tips for handling this hard truth, and one of them is to periodically review your progress. Every now and then, I want you to stop, look up, and see how far you've come, and appreciate where you are on your journey. I want you to look at where you are and compare it to where you were before, and celebrate any and all progress. Doing this can actually give you an extra boost when you're feeling weary on your journey. But it's important that you're reviewing your progress periodically and not looking for applause or massive leaps of progress every time you do one small thing, because that will drive you crazy. Now, the next tip to handle this hard truth is to be forgiving of yourself. Allow yourself to make mistakes, because progress is just never linear and it's a messy process. So if you're trying to introduce a new healthy habit into your daily routine and you end up missing a day, oh well. Don't spend the next few days riddled with shame and guilt, because that just adds on to it, doesn't it? So be quick to forgive yourself, resume the next day, and just keep going. And that leads to my last tip for this hard truth, which is to take breaks. Okay, let me say it one more time. Take breaks. One little break is not going to derail all of your progress. So make sure you schedule in some downtime. Okay, every minute of the day does not have to be filled with personal development activities. And if you think about it this way, your happiness is progress. And if taking a small little break is going to make you happy, then do that. If you're finding these tips helpful, make sure you like the video right now. The third hard truth no one tells you about authenticity is that authenticity is often punished. As much as we'd like to believe the opposite, for the most part, society rewards those who conform and rejects those who try to forge their own paths. Now, when I say punish, what I mean is those methods, conscious and unconscious, that people use in order to discourage you from pursuing authenticity. This can range from obvious methods such as overt bullying, intimidation, harassment, and it can range to more subtle and covert methods such as non-verbal rejection. Non-verbal rejection refers to those silent but contemptuous looks from people, or it could even be the way they purposely divert their attention away from you to convey their disapproval of your lack of conformity. Another example of a covert method is excommunication or social bullying. Now, although it doesn't seem like it, this is an extreme form of interpersonal aggression because it leaves you feeling powerless and sucks the confidence out of your own individuality. And it can be so devastating to your psyche to be ostracized by your peers with pretty much no explanation. Now, whether these methods are covert or overt really depends on the environment that you're in. You're more likely to find overt methods in toxic environments where you won't be punished for doing things like overt bullying and harassment, and also in less conspicuous places like the home, for example. Covert methods of punishment can pretty much be found in any environment because they're so subtle and insidious, but they pretty much have the same effect. And ultimately, all of these methods aim to create those negative feelings of shame and loss of confidence so that you are changing your behavior back to conformity. And because most of us are not very strong in our own identity of self, we tend to concede and just shrink ourselves and end up conforming. Now, because this point is so important, I have several tips to handle these hard truths. The first of which is to use your discernment. You know that saying, if you can't beat them, join them? I've never agreed with it. Does it really make sense to side with the people who truly reject who you are? It can be difficult, as I said, to withstand these social pressures, and it's tempting to concede, but you have to decide what's most important. Do you want to have their superficial and conditional support? Or is it more important for you to have your own self-respect and unwavering self-acceptance? That's for you to decide. Now, the next tip I have is to practice self-love. You cannot wait to be valued and appreciated by the world. That's your job. You have to do it first. You need to show yourself that you value and appreciate your own presence through your actions and continue to cultivate your authenticity. I think now is a good time to drop our affirmation in the comments. I love and accept myself unconditionally. Okay, now my next tip is pretty much derived from the previous tip, but I think it's very important so that it has its own point here, which is to make sure you enjoy your alone time. You need to make sure that when you come home to yourself, you are a place of unconditional acceptance, a safe place of solace, because that will kind of lessen the sting of the rejection. because you're creating positive feelings within yourself, and that kind of cancels out the negative feelings evoked by the rejection from others. So it's really important that you are a safe place for you. Now, my final tip to handling this hard truth is to keep figuring out who you are. By discovering your gifts and pursuing your passions, you'll inevitably find your place in the world. And when you do so, no one will be able to shame or bully you out of your purpose, because your identity of self is so strong that you can withstand any social pressures. The fourth hard truth no one tells you about authenticity is that there's no going back. It's never easy to stay on the narrow path. It's full of challenges, pitfalls, and setbacks. But despite all this, you will be compelled to keep going because you understand how detrimental it can be to avoid being authentic, but you also have in perspective the possibilities of everything you stand to gain by moving differently. And this motivates you to peel back layers and layers of yourself and nurture every single one. And as you do this and discover how lovable you are deep down, you won't want to go back to hiding parts of yourself anymore. Now, as I said, this is not an easy process, so I have a few tips that will support you on this hard truth as well. Now, one of the most important tips I will share in this video is to make sure you have a clear vision for yourself and your future. Sometimes when you're feeling trapped by the amount of discipline it takes to stay on this journey, having a clear vision serves as a motivational reminder of everything that you're striving towards. This helps you to stay focused on the long term and delay gratification as you're working towards a better you. My next tip to handle this hard truth is to take things one step at a time. Being on this journey is a lifelong commitment to your future self. But that means you have so much time to learn, grow, make mistakes, and keep on learning. So there's no need to put so much pressure on yourself. Good things take time to develop, but great things take even longer. Now, my next and final tip to help you handle this hard truth is to keep an open mind. Although you will have a clear vision for yourself and your future, life will always be unpredictable. And sometimes the situations that will catalyze you getting to where you want to be in the future cannot be anticipated. So just be open to all possibilities. And sometimes the situations you find yourself in are actually preparing you for something greater in the future. So just keep going with the flow. Having explained these 4 hard truths, it becomes abundantly clear the reasons why they're rarely mentioned or discussed. It's a very nuanced topic, authenticity, and people have very different ideas on what it means, especially in the practical sense. Also, a lot of people are not authentic yet, so they haven't done the grueling hard work and might not necessarily have that knowledge to share. Also, there is a huge difference between someone sharing their experience with you versus you having your own experiences. Sometimes, or a lot of the time, it's more impactful for you to have your own experiences, learn your own personal lessons, because it gives you a greater understanding of things. My videos are general guidance on the topic, and my books go even deeper and give more support. But ultimately, the aim is that they spur you on to embark on your own journey of self-discovery, because everyone's experiences are going to be different. If you're ready to start your journey or need some support in working towards your authenticity, then I highly recommend getting a copy of my book, which I mentioned earlier in this video. It is a simple guide to seizing the power of authenticity, and through powerful questions and exploration, it shows you how authenticity can be used as the blueprint to transform your life. Okay, it's really powerful, and it comes with the transformation journal, as part of the bundle, and the journal has over 350 questions and activities to get you started. I'll leave the link to those in the comments below, and you can check that out. You can check that out right after you like the video. Thank you for making it to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it and can walk away with a lot of helpful and practical tips to use. If you did, make sure you leave a like, comment and subscribe, and share it with someone who you think needs to hear this as well. Keep shining, and always remember, be you, your life depends on it. See you in the next video. Bye for now.